but it will be on my team. There's just no way around it.
All right, guys. So let's talk about the recent roster update. Big change happened last week. Now roster updates are going to be happening Fridays instead of Mondays. So that's some pretty big news. Some of the big news is the top 3 moves were all diamond guys getting better. Jose Altuve goes from a 94 to a 96. Nolan Arenado goes from a 93 to a 96. And Manny Machado goes from a 94 to a 96. That's a lot of diamonds on the infield
All
right now.
heavily merited too, right? All 3 of those guys already superstars, playing like superstars. Altuve's power, not necessarily coming out of nowhere. He hit 15 bombs last year. Obviously, he's on a much higher pace this year, but he gave a little bit of an inkling that there was going to be a power, potentially a power burst. I could have seen him going back down. There were some projections that said, well, this 15 out of nowhere, he doubled his home run total. He's going to come back down. But you really see power kind of develop late career or later in your career anyway, like mid to late 20s. So it wasn't that shocking. I know the size makes people think, well, how does he hit home runs? But it's not about size. I mean, look at what Dustin Pedroia did. I think he's got a couple of 20 homer seasons under his belt as well. It's really about swing and leverage. It's not always just hulking size. That definitely helps. We talked about JD Martinez earlier. He's a big dude. Giancarlo Stanton is a monster. But sometimes it's just having a clean swing and knowing what the heck you're doing up there. And few guys understand the plate, how to swing, and what they're doing up with the bat than Jose Altuve.
Yeah, and another 4-point upgrade goes to Ryan Braun, taking him from an 86 to a 90. A lot of trade chatter now for Ryan Braun in real life. So in theory, you probably want to get him now. So if he goes to another good team, like who are they saying? I've heard like Yankees
and
Cubs.
Those are the 2 obvious ones because they could both afford something like that. I don't know that I see the Yankees fit so much. I know that they just had A-Rod go down with injury, and they have a lot of old guys. But outfield isn't necessarily their need. If they're going to go out and make a big move like that, because you're going to have to pay some too, right? He's got 20 mil for each of the next 3 years, including this year, and then 19, 17, and then a 15 mil either mutual option in 2021 or a $4 million buyout. So that's a heck of a lot of money. I'm sure Milwaukee will send some to get a better prospect or prospect package, but they're not paying all of that. So the Cubs actually kind of fits crazily enough. It would just be so insane. I don't know if it gets done. I don't know if you want to trade him into a division rival, but Jorge Soler is not playing well. He's clearly not ready for any sort of bust out. They're not going to replace Jason Hayward. I heard people saying that too. Get real. He's not performing well, but I think Jason Hayward's kind of nicked. He might just need a DL stint. But if you go Hayward, healthy Hayward, Fowler, and Braun in the outfield, that's stupid. That's stupid good. And they can afford to pay it because they're paying a lot of low dollar prices right here. Hayward and Lester are their big money guys that they've gotten recently. But all these young guys, they don't cost a ton of money to pay Russell, to pay Bryant, to pay even Soler, even Arrieta. I think he's got an extension, but I don't think he's making huge money. He doesn't. He's at 10 mil right now, and that's not that much for what they're getting out of him. So they could afford to do something like that, even taking on the money. And it could be a situation where they just tell Milwaukee, hey, we'll take all of it. You don't have to send $1, but all you're going to get is this one B-level prospect, and that's it. So it'll be interesting to see if Braun is traded. I definitely think he's more likely to be traded than Jonathan Lucroy because I just don't think we see catchers traded in season all that often, or primary catchers, I should say, because you got to learn so much that I honestly think he stays put and gets traded in the offseason, but we'll see.
And CD Drake in the chat says he bought Tulo 2 days before he got downgraded. That's one of those. That's why you got to be listening to the Sleeper on the Bust. This is why you got to be on Baseball Reference before you're making pickups. Because I think Tulo was hitting what, $160.
He has not been hitting well
so far this season. So yeah, you had to know that. I think he had 90 something contact was his base. So you had to see that was coming down. That's why you gotta be paying attention all the time. Any other big moves that we like?
Yeah, the 2 that I want to talk about is Marte and Bogarts, actually. We were talking about defense in terms of shortstop, and I know, obviously, I talk about the defense in Diamond Dynasty a ton. Bogarts has the defense to play shortstop for you, and in this update, his contact and power weren't updated, but his vision went up from 65 to 75, which is huge in terms of maybe slotting him into the 2-hole for you. speed went up from 54 to 60, and his steal rating, which again is something that's underrated in terms of moving guys around the bases, went from 16 all the way up to a 50, which now allows you to use him in the auto steal with the tap of L2. Anything over 50 you'll lose a lot of those bad jumps. The other one about Marte to be careful about is, even though he went up 2 points and is an amazing left fielder if you've got 10K on you due to his speed and arm, his contact versus lefties went down from an elite 89 down to a 75, but his contact versus righties went from 74 to 82. So now he's more balanced in terms of contact, and he got a little bump in power versus righties too.
Yeah,
Yes.
they might have overreacted to his early start against lefties. Only 22 plate appearances for Marte, and he's really not hitting lefties yet. But it's 22 plate appearances. That's really nothing. That's over 13 games as well. So you're talking not even 2 per game. They could come to regret that one. Although, actually, I looked at it now. I didn't realize he was also at 246 last year. So after his first 3 years in the majors where Marte absolutely eviscerated lefties, he has calmed down both last year and this year. So I actually take that back because I thought he did better last year, and I had that wrong. But that's why you check the numbers like TJ said. Baseball Reference is your best friend, folks.
Yep. And that 92 speed, 93 steal on Marte plays extremely well. He's almost like a lot of people like the Crawford in the Tampa Bay collection. Marte is a perfect fit for that if you don't have the Crawford.
And that defense out there with that speed, you can chase down a lot of stuff with Starling Marte. Really interesting card.
Yep.
Yeah, I loved his card last year. Just waiting for it to go gold for a long time, and now the time's finally come for him. Who else got bumps? Will Myers got a little bit.
Nick Castellanos got his bump into the silver realm. Hit another home run tonight. It's still going to be a while till gold because he's only 78, and this is his first real big run of major success. But I wouldn't put it past Castellanos to keep this up. He's just been such a better hitter this year. Really picking the pitches that he wants to drive and do damage with. Still only 24 years old, so. I think, already a budget baller, and not too much has changed even with the boost. You can still afford him. Another guy with some sneaky eligibility, plays third base and both corner outfield positions. Though you probably want him only at maybe left field. I don't think I'd put him out in right, but I do like Nick Castellanos, and he's one of those balanced cards too. He can do it against both righties and lefties for you too.
Yeah, he took a little hit on his contact versus lefties, but gained it in his contact versus righties, and his power versus both.
And that clutch number for him that doesn't get touched with a lot of the updates is an 80. That's some guy that, gets a boost late in games, and also when you get runners in scoring position. So.
And you got to have that, especially in those. Now, obviously, you'd have to draft him and get lucky to have him there. But like in a BR game, you get a guy like that kind of in the middle of your lineup. He comes up in a key situation, and Nick Castellanos can do some damage for you because that clutch rating often goes overlooked, and it can be really useful.